through having the possibility of destroying each other 100 times over is simply mad. And that is why I do not believe that you need to inculcate this mentality that nuclear weapons make anybody safe. Have they made Pakistan safe? Have they made Israel safe? Have they made the United States safe? Have they made Russia safe? All these countries are susceptible. 9/11 proved that nuclear weapons or no amount of military power makes you safe. So we need to live in a different paradigm, and that's what we are calling for.
To the souring relations between the United States and Germany over spy allegations, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has stressed the strategic importance of relations between the two countries, emphasizing a closeness between them. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said on Saturday that new allegations of U.S. spying showed Berlin and Washington were completely at odds over how they viewed the role of intelligence, and she hoped German action would persuade the United States not to spy on partners.
Let me emphasize the relationship between the United States and Germany is a strategic one. We have enormous political cooperation, and we are great friends.
Now, France has said it will be widening its military operations in Mali and would reposition its troops to prevent the region from being used to mount international attacks. Last January, France sent troops into Mali to end a 10-month Islamist control north of the country. In May this year, it delayed plans to redeploy 3,000 soldiers to fight militants across West Africa, saying it first needs to deal with a fresh outbreak in northern Mali. The French Defense Minister, Jean-Yves Le Drian, said the aim is to prevent motorway of all traffic, that is, the zone between the south of Algeria and the north of those countries, and to stop it from becoming a channel, a permanent route of constant traffic, where jihadists reassemble between Libya and the Atlantic Ocean. Finally, there are reports that 2 gunmen have shot dead a prominent Muslim businessman facing terrorism charges in Mombasa. The man, identified as Mohammed Shahid Butt, was driving back from the airport on Friday evening when his car was blocked by another vehicle and 2 gunmen opened fire. Butt was due to appear in court next month, charged with funding the radicalization of Muslim youth.
Fun, inspiration, and knowledge. That's what you get from readers, writers, publishers, and the entire book world. Get some interesting reviews, events, interviews, and latest updates from the book world. The channel's book club, inspiring you one page at a time.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Diplomatic Channel. The Israeli government on Sunday promised there will be more airstrikes in Gaza and sent out a warning for those living in the north to evacuate. Let's not forget that both sides have been pounding each other with rocket fire since last Tuesday after violence broke out over the killing of a Palestinian teenager. Though the Israeli government has promised to find the killers, Palestine has made no such promise about the 3 Israeli teenagers that were abducted and killed in the Gaza Strip a couple of weeks ago. However, what is worrisome, though, is that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he would not give room for foreign interference in the crisis.
The violence has been going on for almost a week now, and the casualty figures have been rising, though more on the part of Gaza than on Israel's. Israel says so far it's been quite specific with its targets, which it says are Hamas militants and terror sites. As at Sunday, rockets continue to fly over the Israel-Gaza border. Footage released online showed rockets being fired from Gaza as plumes of smoke rose above the Gaza skyline. Militants in Hamas-ruled Gaza have kept up rocket salvos deep into Israel as the worst bout of Israel-Palestinian bloodshed in 2 years showed no signs of abating. The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 160 Palestinians, most of them civilians, among them children, have been killed since the offensive began. Early on Sunday, Israeli leaflets dropped on Beit Lahia, where 70,000 Palestinians live. On them were messages for the residents to evacuate their homes and move south, deeper into the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Interior Ministry dismissed the warnings as Israeli psychological warfare and instructed those who left their homes to return and others to stay put. However, in an interview for US-based television networks on Sunday, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Palestinian militant groups in the Gaza Strip of hiding rockets behind civilians in order to protect them.
You know, here's the difference between us. We're using missile defense to protect our civilians, and they're using their civilians to protect their missiles. That's basically the difference. They're embedding these rockets that they're firing wholesale into our cities, terrorist rocketing, trying to kill as many as they can. They're not succeeding because of two reasons. One is because we've developed this incredible missile defense system, which I think is a historic development in the history of defensive warfare. With U.S. help, and I want to thank the American people, President Obama, the U.S. Congress for helping us fund this amazing development. But the other reason we're succeeding, you have to understand, some of the rockets do pierce through this shield. And the reason we're succeeding is also because we're targeting the rocketeers. The rocketeers are firing from homes. These homes are actually command posts of the Hamas and Islamic Jihad army. So that's where they have their secure communications, weapon caches, rockets, hidden map rooms, and so on. These are their command posts. Obviously, we're not going to give them immunity, and so we have to attack them, and we're trying to minimize, as we can, civilian casualties.
Israel says a ground invasion of Gaza remains an option, and it's already mobilized more than 30,000 reservists to do so. But most attacks have so far been from the air, hitting some 1,200 targets in the territory. International pressure on both sides for a ceasefire have fallen on deaf ears.
I'm alarmed by the new wave of violence that has engulfed Gaza, southern Israel, and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. And this is one of the most critical tests the region has faced in recent years. Gaza is on a knife edge. The deteriorating situation is leading to a downward spiral, which could quickly get beyond anyone's control. The risk of violence expanding further still is real. Gaza and the region as a whole cannot afford any other full-blown war.
Hostilities along the Israel-Gaza border first intensified last month after Israeli forces arrested hundreds of Hamas activists in the Israeli-occupied West Bank following the abduction of 3 Jewish teenagers there who were later found killed. A week later, a Palestinian teenager was killed in Jerusalem in what was seen as an Israeli revenge attack.
And now to the crisis in Ukraine. Russia continues its warning on Ukrainian forces to stop using force on civilian populations. Only this time, the warning is much sterner. The Foreign Ministry is said to have warned of irreversible consequences following the killing of a man on its side of the border by shell fire from Ukraine. Pro-Russian and the Ukrainian governments have blamed each other for the attack, which also left 19 Ukrainian soldiers dead. The killing of the man on the side of Russia is believed to be the first time the country has reported a fatality on its side of the border.
Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Grigory Karasin described the incident as an extremely dangerous escalation for Russian citizens on Russian territory. He told a state radio station that the conversation with the Ukrainian side on the issue will be serious and tough, and warned of irreversible consequences, the responsibility for which lies on the Ukrainian side. Kiev has called the accusation of its forces firing across the border total nonsense and suggested the attack could have been the work of rebels trying to provoke Moscow to intervene on their behalf. On Saturday, Ukrainian warplanes bombarded separatists along a broad front in the country's east in exchanges marking a sharp escalation in the three-month conflict. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces have pushed pro-Russian separatists from the town of Siversk just as they advanced on rebel stronghold of Donetsk. Following its victory in Slavyansk, the army says it's ready to oust the rebels for Donetsk, a city of 900,000 people where separatists have established a stronghold. On Sunday, there was fighting outside the rebel-held city of Luhansk, and rebels said government forces had tried to storm the city with tanks. Rebel military leader Igor Strelkov was quoted as saying his forces had beaten off columns of government armor, attacking from the south and the west.
And that's the program this week. Join us again next time. I am Amarachi Ubani. Thanks for watching.